T- so from Tufts, let's go to Africa and tell me about your experience in Africa, especially the silence and the discipline that you developed there.
Well, so that first trip in 1988, the summer before my senior year, that was just like, that blew my head up. And so I knew that once I graduated, I had to go back to Tufts, finish, and I was going to come back to Africa in some capacity. So I knew there was at least one village on the continent that knew me and loved me. All I needed to do was get there. So I was like, I'm coming back. I'm coming here. I'm coming to heal. And so once I graduated, I landed a job with Africare. They're defunct now. But I walked in and landed the best job I ever had. And so they were going to send me to Africa. So first I had to pay my dues at the headquarters in Washington, D.C. And so then I got a long-term contract for first 2 years. So basically about that solid 3 years. And I went to my long-term post was in Niger. So I was in the Sahara Desert for 3 years. 2.5 years were in Niger, and then there's 6 months in Chad. So in the desert, and I was able to undergo a full mental enema. So I lived in the sticks. I lived in a mud hut, like National Geographic. Me, yeah, that was me. I was out there. I was so far away from the capital city. It was like it'd be like a day and a quarter to get to my village and to get to me. This is before cell phones and this and that. So I was like, in fact, they said, okay, at least every 2 months you have to come to the capital city and kind of report in on the project and this and that. I was like, that was a bother. I was like, leave me the fuck alone. And I sat out and I met many elders that were I'm saying me, about 5 people that were over 100 years old. So I sat with Abdul Karim Hassan. He was 105 when I met him. And it was just an elder in the village. All his natural teeth, his faculty about him, glowing, ripped up. And I sat with this man for 2.5 years. And I gotta have, how is this? So that was another major paradigm shift. I'm like, okay, this is happening on planet Earth. Like you can be 105 and be like, and kick my ass. Okay, how do you do that? And so he was just like, come sit down and shut up. He's like, Zoku Sanu Sanu Bata Hanazoa, which is Hausa for come sit down, slowly, don't rush to get there because you'll arrive late. And he just taught me how to sit. He's like, we've spoken more now in this podcast than I spoke to him in 2.5 years. He was just like, shut up and listen. Like, la ilaha illallahu. There is nothing, only God exists. And so I sat with this man, and like 3 months, I'm getting goosebumps. Like 3 months in, like all of the symptoms of anger, the symptoms of a dysregulated nervous system, me being constipated, me got shit going on my head, headaches, all of these things, not being able to sleep, insomnia, all of these things, they just evaporated. They just evaporated. All the doctor, well, we don't know. My nervous system came back into regulation. And I was like, oh. And then I would just think about different problems or something else, whatever. And I would think about, I wonder what is one of the things maybe I'm a year in, and I just like, wow, I'm just in marvel of like, I'm in the fucking desert. I have a horse. Like this, like I'm looking at the moon. I can see the divots. So the village I lived in, there was no electromagnetic, nothing obstruction. The village I lived in got electricity 6 years after I left. So,
wow.
So I can reach out and like pull a star out of the sky type shit. And I was just like, okay. So I was completely locked in. And so that, I was saying, I asked myself, the question I asked myself was, how vast is the world? That was one of my meditations. I just asked myself that question. How vast? Here I am, from 6th Division Street, from Richmond, Mississippi, foster kid, all of that, my background. Here I am standing in this fucking Sahara Desert with a horse, a camel, a Sufi monk, speaking my third language. I'm like, how vast is the world? And I meditated on it for about a month. I was just in meditation thinking about this question. And the answer came to me. It said, the world is as vast as you conceive it to be. The world is as vast as you conceive it to be. And so I'm getting ahead of myself. So that piece right there, when I go into the jails and the prisons, I'm bringing fodder, I'm bringing fertile ground for a paradigm shift. I'm giving them something. No, bruh, go past. I understand your anger. I get it. But if your anger ends you up here, your anger's not useful. Like, there's so much more here. So we're battling all the bullshit here in America. So it's hard to think about sitting in the desert, right? But bringing them with these stories, with my experience. I'm not one of the young women in juvenile hall. I'm telling some story about Japan, this and that. And I remember this 15-year-old girl looking at me, she said, how do you have this life? She's like, what are you talking about? It blew her. She's like, this is crazy. And I was like, yes, the world is only as big as you conceive it to be. So me just being proximal and being with these kids, these adults, and other people that I work with, I know that I'm giving them that. Like, go past Hegseth, go past Trump, go past all of these motherfuckers that got crazy shit going on. Go past all of that, right? And there's a reason why they're doing that. There's a reason why they're doing that. But go, it's so much. We get locked into these little alley fights. Things I hear now when people if they're locked into that. Here, you want a hug? You want something cool to drink? This is not a conversation for me.
Yeah, you need some help breathing.
Breathing. You need a punch in the face. Yeah. How can I help you out? But for me, the world is too vast. I've had too many experiences to get locked in that.